Hello and welcome everybody to the weekly Shir Yonagul Mashiach on the internet. Thanks to you and your participation, the Shir has grown to be the largest weekly Shir in Yonagul Mashiach in the English language. Tonight we are actually having the 8th Shir. When we hear about the number 8, we already reminds us of the time of Mashiach, because the number 8 is connected to the era of Mashiach. The number 7 is connected with nature, Teva, 7 days of the week, and 8 is the number which represents the miraculous era, the era which is higher than nature, when nature elevates to the level of godliness reflected in the number 8. Tonight's shir is Lili Nishmas, a very, very special person, Rabbi Avtzon, Rabbi Mrdchei Meir, הכהן, Rabbi Chaim אלעזר, הכהן, Brisky, and we should be zoiche that v'kitzuranu sheikh ne'afar v'hu b'soicham, which that leads us directly into the topic of this week's shir. This week's topic is the resurrection, Techiyas Hameisim, the resurrection of the dead, which is a very famous concept. Everybody knows that Kol Yisrael yesh lam chelek lo'olam haba, that every Yid will have a portion in Olam Haba and Techiyas Hameisim, but many of the details regarding Techiyas Hameisim are very, very vague to many people, and in tonight's shir we hope to clarify some of the basic details of Techiyas Hameisim. The first and obvious question is, who will have Techiyas Hameisim? Is it for everybody, a select group of individuals, only tzaddikim, regular people? Who's Techiyas Hameisim for? Who will merit to be resurrected in the time of Mashiach? So that the Mishnah tells us in Masechta Sanhedrin, and it's one of the 12 psukim that every child knows. Kol Yisrael yesh lahem chelek lo'olam haba. Shenemar v'yamech kulam tzadikim lo'olam yirshu oretz neitzer matoi masayodei li'spoir. Which means that every single Yid will have a portion in Olam Haba, which is the time of their Geula. In other words, every single Yid, whether he's a very righteous person or a regular person, he will merit to be resurrected in the time of Mashiach. So this part of the mission everybody knows, and therefore if you ask your average person who has a part in Olam Haba, the answer will be everybody. But many people, they don't learn the second part of the Mishnah. The Mishnah gives a whole list of ve'elu she'ein lahem chelek. There's a whole group of people that do not have a portion in Olam Haba. And the Mishnah and the Gemara and the Rambam list 24 groups of people that do not have a portion in Olam Haba. This would seem that there's a large group of Yidden that do not have a part in Olam Haba. So this question was addressed to the Rebbe in the early years, and the Rebbe wrote a long, long letter in Igros Kodesh Chelek Beis, Amud Samach 65, page 65, where the Rebbe outlines different rules and different ways to bring Jews back, so to speak, to say that even those people which, according to the Mishnah, may not have a part in Olam Haba, nevertheless they can have a part in Olam Haba. I'm not going to be able to go through all the Talmudic discussion in that letter, but I will give you the results. What are the final conclusions that the Rebbe comes up with? And he divides it into 5. First of all, the Rebbe proves from the Gemaras that anyone that did tshuva before he passed away, even if he originally was part of those groups that do not merit Olam Haba, he will be able to come back. Secondly, if they have a righteous son or a righteous father, daven for them, so even if in their own merit they won't come back, but in the merit of their son, we'll be able to bring them back. Another thing is, even if it's not a relative, if they have a friend who davens for them and did Maisim Toivim in their honor, that itself gives them enough schusim to bring them back to Techiyas Hameisim. Another way is, let's say somebody has no friends or holy relatives to help them. If they were disgraced after their death, they also get an Olam Haba. And then the Rebbe says, I found a very fascinating sefer. And this sefer says like this. This that the Mishnah says, Elu she'ein lohem chelek, that there's a group of people that do not have a portion, that means in their own merit, they don't have a portion. But the Eibishter at the end of the day will have Rachmanis and bring back every single Yid on his cheshbon, on his account. True, they don't deserve it, but on Hashem's account, the Eibishter will bring back all the Yidden to Techiyas Hameisim. So the final conclusion is that truly, Kol Yisrael yesh lem chelek lo'olam haba. Now that we explained this thing, that every single Yid has a chelek in olam haba, so now we're going to discuss different details about Techiyas Hameisim. For example, where will Techiyas Hameisim take place? So the Gemara in Ksuva says that all people will be resurrected. The Techiyas Hameisim is going to happen in Eretz Yisrael. Those that were buried outside Eretz Yisrael are going to have to roll underground in special tunnels that will be made in order to reach Eretz Yisrael. And that's why we know that Yaakov Avinu said, "Nesasani mi Mitzrayim." The Yaakov Avinu, he did not want to be buried in Mitzrayim, and one of the reasons that's brought down is he did not want to have to roll to Eretz Yisrael in the time of Techiyas Hameisim. And that's why you'll find that many Yidden, even if they pass away outside Eretz Yisrael, they insist on being buried specifically in Eretz Yisrael. The tzaddikim will not have to suffer so much in the rolling. It will be a much smoother gateway and tunnel to Eretz Yisrael, but nevertheless, they will have to go to Eretz Yisrael. How will people look like when they get resurrected? The Medrash brings something very interesting. He says, that writes over there, and this is Breishis Rabbah Perek Tzadik Hey, that people will look exactly the way they looked before they passed away. Which means, let's say somebody was originally blind, so they will be resurrected, Techiyas Hameisim, as a blind person, and only then will they be cured. And the answer that's given is, and the reason, why is it like that? So that everyone should know that it was them. Because let's say everyone knew that this person was blind, and now they're resurrected with sight, people will say it's not the same person. So originally they get up exactly the way they passed away. Then they will be cured, and everyone will know that they, as a certain individual, merited Techiyas Hameisim. In what order will there be Techiyas Hameisim? Well, the tzaddikim will rise before the regular people. As a matter of fact, there will be a special Techiyas Hameisim for tzaddikim earlier, like it says that Moshe v'Aaron yi mohem, before Binyan Beis Hamikdash, Moshe and Aaron will already be there to help the Yidden in the Avodas Beis Hamikdash. The tzaddikim will get up right away, and then the regular people, they'll be resurrected according to the Medrash based on the Aleph Beis. If your name is Avraham, so to speak, you go first. The Techiyas Hameisim will happen based on the Aleph Beis. Those that are in Eretz Yisrael will obviously have Techiyas Hameisim before those which are outside Eretz Yisrael. What's very, very fascinating is that there is Sefer Avkas Rochel that brings down an opinion that the Avis are going to be resurrected the last. And many of the Mefarshim ask, why would you say that? If anything, the Avis, who are the founders of Klal Yisrael, they should be resurrected the first. And the Mefarshim explain like this. What is a bigger nachas to a grandparent? To come into an empty room and then the Einiklach come fill it up? Or come into a room and the Einiklach are all sitting there waiting for them? So obviously a grandparent that walks into a room and it's filled with his descendants feels a lot more nachas. And according to that logic, that's why they say that the people, the regular Yidden, will be resurrected first, and then only then will the Avis come in to a full world of their Einiklach, Maisi Yedeim Li'ispoir. What clothes will they be wearing? So that Techiyas brings down two opinions. One opinion is they'll get up right away in their shrouds, and another opinion is that they will be wearing the begodim, the special clothes that they were known to have worn in their lifetime. Now, let's say they had a special suit or a special way of dress that they wore while they were alive. They will end up in those pair of clothing, even though they were buried in shrouds. Obviously, when Techiyas Hameisim happens, there are going to be many, many Halachik questions associated with Techiyas Hameisim. And let's deal with some of the interesting questions that are brought up by the Achronim. Question number 1. if somebody was married twice, let's say a woman was married to Reuben, Sarah's married to Reuben. Reuben passed away, so she married Shimon. Now they both passed away, and now both husbands are back. To which husband does Sarah go to? Does it go to Reuben? Does it go to Shimon? It's obviously a very, very yesodistic question. So we have three different opinions. The Anaf Yosef, who's one of the Pirushim to Ein Yaakov, he says that you will have to go to the second husband. And he bases it on a law, a halacha, that says that if a couple divorces, the woman gets remarried, and then divorces her second husband, she may not remarry her first husband. So to speak, both husbands died, so they have to go back to the second husband. The Zohar writes that you go back to the first husband and explains how that halacha doesn't really apply in this case of Techiyas Hameisim, because it's a whole new body, so to speak. The most fascinating opinion in this matter is actually the Chassam Sofer. The Chassam Sofer says that when he was younger, he heard a pirush in the name of the Arizal that says like this, that before a neshama is born, there's a certain neshama which is supposed to be its soulmate. It's bashert. Sometimes a person can get married to someone that was not specifically their bashert because there's other parts of the neshama. So if so, when Mashiach comes, he says, you may not marry not the first husband or the second husband. You're going to go to your original bashert. So it will be not the first husband and not the second husband. That's a very, very interesting opinion. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Next question. Will there be a Yom Hadin, a judgment day, for all the neshamas, for all the Yidden that get resurrected? You know, everyone's very scared of Mashiach. They're petrified of the judgment day which is coming. Well, is this true? Will there be judgment day, or is this some fantasy that some people made up just to scare people? So the Barbanel writes in Mayone Yeshua that there is no Yom Hadin. There's truly no Yom Hadin. When Mashiach comes, the whole idea is not true. However, one of the Rishonim, the Ramban, writes that there will be a Yom Hadin. So the Arizal explains. The Arizal says in Nishmas Chaim that the judgment day will only be for the Goyim. For the Yidden, there will be no judgment day. The big Yom Hadin is only going to be for the Goyim. However, the Friedrich Rebbe writes in Kuti Deburim, a very interesting thing. He says there will be a judgment day for the Yidden also, but it will be a positive judgment. Hashem's going to look at every Yid, and he's going to see a whole stack of Averas. And he's going to knock off each Avera, judging it one by one. This Avera, you were Anos, you didn't know, you were in a bad atmosphere, you were in Golos. Hashem is going to judge favorably all their Averas and get rid of all the Averas of the Yidden. So it will be a judgment day, but a very positive judgment day, and all the Averas will disappear. Another question. Neshama many times has different gilgulim to fix different things in this world. When Mashiach comes, which body will the neshama go into? Its first body, second body, third body. Which neshama, which body will merit to have the neshama in it? So the Mekubalim explained something very interesting. Every time you do a mitzvah in a certain body, you're elevating a certain part of the neshama. That part of the neshama is a pure part of the neshama itself, and it has the ability to give life to the body. So each body will be resurrected with the part of the neshama that it elevated. So therefore, truly the neshama can be, so to speak, split into different bodies, one neshama in different bodies, each body getting up with the chelik of the neshama that it itself elevated, and in the merit of that mitzvah that they did, they will be resurrected with that part of the neshama. So until now, we explained the different details of those which have passed away and will merit Techiyas Hameisim. Now we have to discuss one final thing. What about those which are living? There are rumors out there that even those which are living will have to pass away before Mashiach comes, and have resurrection, have Techiyas Hameisim. Is there any source, any validity to those rumors? Is this true? Does that mean that everyone watching this video, when Mashiach comes right now, they're all going to have to pass away? That's pretty scary. Death is scary. Is this true? So you have to take a minute and listen to what I'm going to say. Conceptually and historically, this is actually a very valid opinion. And let me explain why. In general, why is there death in the world? Why did Eibishter create death? We know Hashem, originally the plan was that people would live forever. So Adam, Arishin, and Chava, they eat from the Chedei Tzadas, and all of a sudden they have to die. How does death fit in over here? So the Rabbeim explain that what happens like this. The moment they ate from the Chedei Tzadas, there was a certain element of klipa that came into the human being's body. And if that person would live forever, so part of klipa would live forever also. So the person's body has to pass away, return to the ground, so to speak, let the klipa out, and then when Mashiach comes, can be resurrected anew without the klipa inside. So with this reasoning, and that's actually brought down in the Zohar, it's not just a folk tale. According to the Zohar, truly every single Yid will have to pass away even for a second before Techiyas Hameisim. But our Rebbe, who, first of all, like we saw previously, he brings every Yid back to Techiyas Hameisim. He's Melamed Zchus for all Yidden. B'chlal, we know that one of the characteristics of Mashiach is somebody that always finds Zchusim for Yidden. And this is brought down regarding Gideon. It says, why was Gideon given the job as the leader of the Jewish people? Because he found Zchusim for Yidden. And in Kedushas Levi, the Barditchever says, if you want to find someone that has Mashiach, the first thing you have to look for is somebody that's Melamed Zchus for Yidden. So the Rebbe is always being Melamed Zchus, elevating all the different Yidden that may have sinned throughout the generations. The Rebbe always finds reason to elevate them. And the Rebbe here teaches us something amazing also. There's a Maimer Bila Mavas Lanetzach Toshen Chavhei. And in that Maimer, the Rebbe, in footnote 36, order 36, the Rebbe says like this: if we nullify our ego and our mitzias in this world, then we will not have to literally pass away. Like we say, "V'nafshi ka'afar lakol tiyah b'sachli b'seresecha." If we merit to annul and get rid of our ego and return it, so to speak, to the dust, in a spiritual sense in this world, that will be okay. We will not have to go through the physical process of passing away before Mashiach. So I'm sure every one of us, every one of you for sure, who have taken the time to watch this video to this point, for sure have that type of bittul, and for sure will merit to go directly, right away, to Techiyas Hameisim, to meet all the Yidden from all the generations together in Yerushalayim Mir HaKodesh. I want to wish a very special Mazel Tov to a very special Bocher, Hatomim Yoske Greenberg, on his engagement. And in the schus of his engagement, we should be zoichet to what it says, Meheira Yishama Ba'are Yehuda V'chutzes Yerushalayim. We should be zoichet to the time of Geula, Kel Sasain, Kel Simcha, Kel Chasim, Kel Kala, the time of Geula. If anyone wants to help the shir, share the shir with your friends, family, relatives, workers, co-workers, anyone you know, to get them involved in the special tkufa of Mashiach. But if anyone wants to donate money and the shir should be l'schus anyone they know, you can email the shir at mashiachweekly@gmail.com. That is mashiachweekly@gmail.com. Looking forward to seeing you, your friends, family. Third base Hamikdash, Yerushalayim Mir HaKodesh, B'mheira V'yameinu Mamish.